So in the last lecture, we talked about dualism, or, as we might say, using terms I think more people are familiar with, this sort of soul theory of personal identity, right? Same soul, same person. And we saw that despite its intuitive appeal, despite the fact that it's kind of natural to a lot of people, that there are some problems with the soul theory. The biggest one being that, maybe, same soul, same person seems a bit unsatisfying, right? If it's the same soul, but it doesn't have your memories or personality, well, is that really survival? Would you really care about? Would that really console you if you heard, well, your soul survives, but it doesn't remember being you or act like you, right? And there's also the problem that the soul seems to be this radically different kind of thing, right? And now some people will say, well, that's weird because, how does the soul fit into modern science? I'm not super convinced by that, but it does seem weird that we have this soul thing that we can't directly observe. That's always, we can't see it, we can't feel it. At best, we can kind of guess that it exists through some kinds of signs, right? Or that's what people who will say it exists say. All that seems a bit odd too, right? So let's move on to the second theory of personal identity, so-called physicalism. Same body, same person. Right? Physicalism applies the same standards for saying whether we are the same people as you apply to your favorite mug or your favorite set of shoes for whether it's the same set of shoes, right? If it's the same object, it is if it's materially the same object, then it's the same thing. If you are materially the same body, you are the same person, right? And that's pretty intuitive, right? If so let's say you have a favorite mug that your wife or your father or someone you care about gave you, or it has sentimental attachment, and you find out that someone broke it but replaced it with one that looks exactly the same. You might say, well, I don't care about this cup because it's not the same one, even if it looks the same. It's not the same stuff put together the same way, right? That all seems pretty commonsensical. Why not apply that to our own existence, personal identity? So already you can see kind of the attractions why this is a theory that makes sense to a lot of people. Possible advantages of dualism, of physicalism over dualism. Well, one that impresses a lot of people is that it seems to fit better with modern science, or so they say. They'll say it's simpler, it doesn't claim that souls exist, but only matter, only physical stuff, which we're already familiar with. Again, a lot of philosophers are more impressed by this than I am. I'm a little skeptical that we really know all that well what physical stuff really is. Physics says some weird things about physical stuff that's hard to understand for me. So I don't know. But, at the very least, we are familiar with it to some extent, right? I can touch the table here. I can touch the glass. I can run my fingers over my face. I can't touch or see my soul. If we do have souls, I can't do that in the same way, right? So even if matter is maybe a little more mysterious, a little weirder than a lot of people say, even if we don't understand it as well as some people might like to pretend, it does seem true that we are familiar with matter in a way that, at least at first glance, we're not familiar with souls. And continuing in the same vein, bodies are observable, right? It seems much easier, much clearer. Not just that bodies are observable, we're familiar with them, but because they're observable, it seems much easier to answer the same question as to whether someone's the same person. We don't have to guess whether it's still the same soul. We can't see the soul stuff. We just have to figure out, well, is it the same physical stuff, right? And that might be hard. Sometimes it might be, but, we do it all the time with physical objects, right? We investigate whether some supposedly antique pistol is really a pistol that was in the Revolutionary War or a fake. We do this all the time. It might be hard, but we can generally figure out whether something really is the same object or not. Well, let's just apply that to bodies. And it seems to give us clear answers. Reincarnation cases. Well, obviously, in supposed reincarnation cases, it's not the same body. The body of the one person everyone agrees has died. The new person never claims to have the same body, so not the same person. Hollywood amnesia cases, they are the same person, right? Even if they have no memory, it's clear that the person with amnesia has the same body as the person had before they had amnesia. Download consciousness to a computer, not the same person, right? If your physical body dies, but we preserve the memories in a computer, that computer is not your physical body, right? It's not even the same kind of thing. It's a machine. Think of it this way, right? And I think this works for both Hollywood amnesia and the downloading your consciousness, right? If I download all the stuff, all the programs from my current computer onto a new one, and I smash the old one with a hammer, well, I can't say that the new computer is exactly the same computer just because it has the old programs on it, right? And in the same way, even if I erased everything on the current computer, even if it was completely crashed, it would still be the same computer, even though all the programs are gone, right? Downloading consciousness to a computer, well, that's like transferring the software and then smashing the old one, or the old one just gets smashed. Hollywood amnesia, that might be like erasing all the programs, but even if the programs are erased, still the same physical object. Even if the programs are transferred, not the same physical object. So Hollywood amnesia, same person. Download your consciousness to a computer, not the same person. And now it looks like if physicalism is true, I will say this, if physicalism is true, then the prospects for surviving death in any kind of way look pretty bad, right? You die, your definition of death is your body stops working, it rots away, it doesn't even exist anymore, right? Or it's buried, or it's burned, or whatever. And the Epicureans were hardcore physicalists. This is part of the reason they said, guys like Lucretius thought we couldn't survive death, right? Now, there are some, and people have said this in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, the Abrahamic religions. There are some people in these religions who have embraced physicalism. It's rarer than talking about a soul, but some do. One of my old professors, Trenton Merricks, I think, takes this position. And they'll just say, well, look, if there's a God, he can always put the stuff, if you die and your body decays, think of it as taking a watch apart into a million pieces. If you later reassemble those same pieces into the watch, it'll still be the same watch. If God exists, he could, of course, reassemble your physical bits back into the same body. But, that might be one possible way physicalism is compatible with surviving death, but most ways that people want to say we could survive death, our soul lives on, or consciousness is transferred to something else, physicalism will just say, nope, that does not make any sense. Physical resurrection, maybe there could be some problems with it, but most ways of thinking about surviving death, physicalism is just going to be like, nah, nope. So hopefully you guys are now clear on what physicalism is and what it would mean if it were true, if it is true. Well, is it true, right? Is it a good account of personal identity? Well, there's some problems with physicalism. For one thing, you might say to the physicalist, well, look, yeah, maybe maybe you give me a good account of whether my favorite mug is still the same mug, right? Or whether my computer is still the same computer or my watch is still the same watch, right? If it's the same physical stuff, more or less arranged in the same way, it's the same thing, right? If you smash up my favorite mug with a hammer until it's a bunch of little pieces, well, then maybe it's not the same mug. But as long as it's still the same stuff in roughly the same shape, it is the same mug. It's still the same thing. Well, here's the problem, though. Biological organisms are not like mugs or computers or desks, right? Simply by living, biological organisms change a lot. We grow, we develop, we age. Biological organisms are in a constant state of change. Just by eating, just by breathing, just by going to the bathroom, even above all the other changes that you have as you grow and age. Just the normal process of eating, drinking, and excretion, that changes. You exchange a lot of the matter in your body on a day-to-day basis, right? The water in your body now is not the same water that was in your body 5 years ago. And well, human beings are, 70% water, right? And even the hard stuff, even the solid stuff over time changes, right? Your skin flakes off. We'll get too deeply into this, we go to the bathroom, right? We get haircuts. The physical stuff we're made of changes constantly. And at the very least, this undermines the clarity selling point of physicalism. You say, well, physicalism's clear in a way that, the soul theory isn't. It's like, well, is it really? How much change is compatible with something being the same object? The matter in your body is constantly changing. If over time, most or even all of it gets exchanged, well, are you really the same person if being the same person is being physically the same? There's an old philosophical problem called the ship of Theseus problem. And it's actually important here, right? And the ship of Theseus was, I think it'd been involved in a battle. It was a big deal to the Greeks, so they wanted to preserve it, right? And of course, being a ship in a harbor, it rots, so they keep replacing the planks. And over time, they've replaced so many of the planks that none of the originals remain. Well, whatever. I mean, maybe it's hard for us to see, why this is important, but let me shift to something else that I think makes this clearer and why it's important and a bit unsettling, right? If you guys ever go to Appomattox, the Appomattox courthouse, one of the things they will kind of tell you in passing on the tour, they don't really try to make a big deal of this, but they'll tell you, it's like, by the way, this is not the same courthouse that Lee surrendered at. That one was torn apart by souvenir seekers. It's gone, but we rebuilt it. Anyway, moving right along. They don't say it quite that quickly, but they kind of try to push it under the rug, right? The place where Lee surrendered to Grant was torn apart pretty quickly by souvenir seekers, so they rebuilt a house that looks a lot like it, right? When I was there as a kid and I heard this, I'm like, well, who cares then? Why do we drive all the way to this place if this isn't even really where it happened, right? Now, you can modify this a bit and you can say, imagine that, over time, what really happened was souvenir seekers just tore it apart completely and they built a house that looked like it, right? But imagine that over time, souvenir seekers keep yanking stuff off the house, keep pulling stuff off the house, and they keep rebuilding it, repairing it. And eventually, none of the stuff there, none of the pieces, even though they're all really well restored, none of them are the actual pieces that were there when Lee surrendered to Grant, right? Well, how would you react to that? Would you say, okay, this is still the place where it happened, this is still an important historical place to be, or would it be the same as the sort of replica house that's there now? And you're like, well, this is not really where it happened. Why do I make a big deal of this? Well, it seems that because our bodies are all biological organisms, we are all in the position of the ship of Theseus problem. The bits and pieces that make our body up are slowly replaced over time. I'm not sure if that 7-year figure is true or not. I can't really... It kind of doesn't pass the smell test to me, but I don't know. The point remains. So we threaten to get a counterintuitive, if not reductio answer, right? If the stuff in our body, let's say it changes every 10 years, well, then I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, but that just seems crazy, right? If somebody committed a horrible murder 11 years ago, and he says, well, yes, I have memories of doing it. I'm still pretty much the same guy. I'd still kill him. Yes, of course. But no. The matter's not the same. I'm a different physical person. So, let me off, right? Don't send me to jail. That wouldn't wash, right? So, I don't know. The whole problem of biological organisms changing their matter over time threatens, I think, to undermine one of the things that's really attractive about physicalism, and it threatens to give us some crazy results. But the biggest issue with physicalism is one that it shares with dualism. And that's just how much should we care about the body on its own? If your memory and personality were to be erased, but your body was going to survive, would you really think that that is a good thing? Would you really care? Would you think that that's surviving death, right? Let me tell you guys a little sci-fi story, right? Imagine that someone says to you, well, we're going to erase all your personality, all your memories, and this evil billionaire, I don't know, I always picture Peter Thiel as the evil billionaire, but you put whoever you want in there, right? This evil billionaire is going to erase your memory and personalities and download his own into your brain. And you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. You're going to kill me. Why are you doing this horrible thing? And whatever mad scientist is like, no, 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 see, now actually we're going to do it, but you see the joke's on Peter Thiel type evil billionaire, right? You know, he thinks he's going to survive death, but it's really going to be you because it's your body. And isn't it going to be great because you will now have all of evil billionaire's money, right? He'll think it, he's signed it all over to you, your body, because he wants to be able to use his money. Yeah, Mr. Burns, Peter Thiel, pure evil billionaire person, he thinks he's going to survive, but it's going to be you because it's your body, even though you have his memories and personalities. So I'm really doing you a favor. Isn't this great for you? And aren't we getting one over on, Monty Thiel, we might call him, right? Montgomery Burns, Peter Thiel, right? You'd think that's crazy, right? You'd say, no, that's not me, even if it's my body. Evil billionaire is the one who's getting a good deal here, not me just because my body survives, right? Or at least that would be my reaction. And if that's your reaction, if you say, well, who cares if my body survives if my memory and personality are gone? That seems to be the same basic problem we had with the soul theory, right? So I think the strongest objection to the body theory is this just who cares objection. Same as with dualism. So next lecture we'll talk about the memory theory, which seems to actually solve this problem pretty well. It actually begins from this problem, but being philosophy, the memory theory will run into some problems of its own.